What's up, everybody? Welcome back to In Your Driveway Auto. Today, we're going to be replacing a thermostat on a 2020 Kia Sedona. So this van is overheating pretty bad. It's really not overheating that much whenever you take it out on the road and drive it. It's staying cool. So my initial reaction was, okay, maybe the fans aren't kicking on. Well, I sat here and let it idle for a while, and the fans do kick on when they're supposed to, and they even go into overdrive when it's supposed to. So no problem with the fan there. The customer has already replaced the coolant. He did a coolant flush and everything on this thing. It helped a little bit, but it really has not fixed the issue. So if you when it was running, I could sit here and squeeze the upper radiator hose, and it is so tight it feels like it's about to explode. So that tells me that this electric thermostat is not opening up when it's supposed to. So we're going to go ahead and replace this thing today. Really easy repair. Probably going to take about 20 to 30 minutes, including refilling the coolant and everything. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so just to prepare you, this is an electric thermostat, so it's going to be a little bit more expensive on the part than just a regular thermostat. I think this one was like 150 bucks at AutoZone. All right, so first of all, you want to take this coolant catch pan and push it up underneath the car. That way, you catch any coolant that leaks out. I'm not. You could drain it out of the radiator. I'm not really going to worry about that. I'm just going to pop the hose off right here, and whatever drains out, drains out. But at least I got this catch pan underneath here, so it can catch it. It's not going back into the earth, and it's not. I don't have to worry about any dogs coming by and licking it up. And this stuff is real harmful to pets. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, we can go ahead and work on this thermostat right here. So this is your thermostat right here. It looks like it's three 10 millimeter bolts around here. And like I said, it's electric, so there is a connector right here. You got to take this connector off. So let's go ahead and do that. So there's a little gray clip on the back of this connector right here. It's like a little lock clip. So I'm just taking a pick. I'm just taking a pick and I'm just pushing it out to get it out of the way. All right. And then you can just push the little tab on the back of the clip or on the back of the connector and unplug it. All right. So now we got that connector unplugged. It probably would be easier to go ahead and disconnect this upper radiator hose, but it looks like you can replace a thermostat without doing that. So that's what I'm going to try to do just to save some time. The next step is going to be to get some pliers and work on removing this clip that holds this lower radiator hose onto here. Just squeeze it and push it down. All right, so now I'm going to take this flathead screwdriver and push it right on top of this hose. I'm just going to be careful not to damage the hose, but just kind of get in there and put a little pressure on it. Kind of work all the way around just to break it free at first, and then after that it should slide right off. And this is when the coolant is going to rush out of here. See there? All right. There we go. And that coolant went right into our drain pan that we so expertly placed. All right, and I got my handy dandy 10 millimeter socket right here, my electric ratchet. And turns out it's not a 10 millimeter, it's a 12 millimeter. Okay, now I got my 12 millimeter socket. Let's see if this works better. And my ratchet's dead. Okay, now I'm back with my manual ratchet. Be careful if you're doing this while the engine's hot, because this engine coolant it can burn you really quick and leave blisters or cause even more damage. But once you start loosening up this last bolt, it's going to start leaking coolant out again. So just make sure and keep that catch pan down there until you're done with the job. Whew, that's hot. All right, so there is a little black gasket in here, a little rubber gasket. It should be reusable, but if yours has, you want to inspect yours, make sure it doesn't have any damage. And if it does, you're going to want to replace it. This thermostat from AutoZone did not come with a new gasket, so I'm going to reuse this one. There's no damage to it or anything. There's no leakage or anything, so it should be good to go to reuse it. But if you want to plan ahead and order one online or something like that, that may be a good idea just in case it is damaged. You don't want your car sitting and waiting on a part for another couple of days, so go ahead and order it in advance. All right, so now we can take our new one, put it right in here. Now, just make sure you orient this thing correctly because you don't want to put it in here and bolt it in and have it facing like this direction because obviously your hose isn't going to connect. So just before you tighten your bolts down and everything, just make sure it's orientated to the same direction that your old one was. Um, it's just going to save you a bunch of time and effort. Now we can start all three of our bolts so that we make sure everything's lined up. And then once they get started by hand, we can go ahead and put them in the rest of the way with a ratchet. All right, and then go ahead and hook up the electrical connector. Boom. And then you can put the hose on. All right, and now I'm gonna just take these pliers and squeeze this clamp right here, and I'm gonna pull it up and try to match it up with the seam where it was before. That's gonna give it its best seal if you can match it up. If not, just get it at least close. That's gonna be your best bet. There we go. All right, so next we're gonna want to refill this engine with coolant, obviously. Um, in order to help purge all the air out of the system, we're gonna come in here into the car, and we're not gonna start the engine yet. We're just gonna turn it on. So turn it to accessory mode or whatever. Get everything up and going, and then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna turn everything to heat. So we're gonna make sure that this thing is running hot. Turn the AC off. Turn the defrost off. Just have it blow on your face. And the reason we're doing that is because the heater core, which is basically what heats up your car on the inside, it's connected to the whole coolant system and everything. So it's actually engine coolant that runs through there to heat up the car. Now, when you drain all the coolant out, air can get trapped into that heater core. It won't work properly. Your coolant won't circulate properly. You're going to have overheating issues again, and it's just going to lead to a large number of problems. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we can cut the car off. Make sure you get the right engine coolant for this. If you mix engine coolant types, a lot of times it can cause corrosion inside your engine. Um, it can cause it to basically coagulate, and it'll turn into a gel in there, and then it'll keep your coolant from circulating throughout the engine. You'll have overheating issues again. You'll warp your head. You'll crack your engine block, all kinds of stuff. So make sure it's the right kind of coolant for your car. For this particular car, we're going with Asian vehicle. I usually use Peak because it's all color coded. So Asian vehicle green is what this particular car calls for, and you can even see a list of vehicles, makes and models and years that it fits right here. So just make sure that it fits there. If you need to double check, you can go to Peak's. Well, they have a QR code on the back right here. You can scan it and make sure that it goes into your car. And then you can also go to the website and put in your year, make, and model and everything. And it'll tell you exactly what coolant you need for your car. So you can buy it either pre-diluted or concentrated. It's easier to buy it pre-diluted because you don't have to worry about mixing it or anything like that. If you buy concentrate and you want to dilute it with some water, that's fine. But make sure it's distilled water. If it's not distilled water, what happens is you get a lot of minerals in your water and everything. Almost all water has minerals in it, and it'll cause corrosion in your engine again, cause electrolysis and all that kind of stuff. It's going to just destroy your engine, your cooling system. So make sure you use distilled water and use concentrated. All right, so starting off, we're going to take our funnel and put it in the radiator. and we're going to try to get as much coolant to fit into here as possible. All right, and we're gonna have to go slowly, and it's gonna bubble a couple of times and stuff like that. That's good. That's what you want. That means it's getting down into the system. And then once it gets to where we cannot put any more coolant in here, we're gonna start the car up. What's gonna happen is it's probably gonna suck a bunch of that coolant into the engine. There's gonna be more space. We're gonna fill it up again. We're gonna continue to monitor it while it's heating up and make sure that it doesn't ever run low. So while this engine is running, it's going to be purging air out of it. It's going to be burping. It's going to be doing all that kind of stuff. So we want to make sure, oh, I went too fast there. So you got to go slow. If you hear it bubbling or gurgling or anything like that, that's okay. That's normal. That's what you want to hear. All right, now we're going to go ahead and start the car. We're going to keep that heat on. And then whenever the car starts, you start feeling hot air blow out of the vents, that's when you know, okay, all the air is out of the heater core. It's heating up properly, it's circulating and everything, and you can go ahead and cut the heat off. But keep the car running the whole time until it gets up to temperature. And then the repair manual says, for this car, says to let the fans kick on and off 2 or 3 times before you call it good, and then let it cool down for a while, and then recheck your coolant level and make sure that your coolant level is good in your reservoir as well. Now, one thing you can do to help speed up this process is to go in here and squeeze these radiator hoses. And a lot of times that'll force air out of the hoses and it'll create more room in here for you to put more coolant. You don't have to do that. It's just quicker that way. So everything's working good on here. The fan's kicking on and off like it's supposed to. The coolant is circulating. It's not overheating anymore. So we're good to go. One thing you want to do before you call it good and say the job's complete, you want to make sure and check everything that you removed and make sure there's no leaks coming out of it. So the thermostat, want to make sure there's no leaks coming out of there. The hose, make sure no leaks coming out of there. Even the little electrical connector on the back where it goes into the thermostat housing, a lot of times it can start leaking if it's a faulty part. So you want to make sure that that's good. You want to find out that the part's faulty here in the driveway before you get 40 miles down the road and break down on the side of the interstate. So, all right, that's all for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and comment and all that kind of stuff. Have a great week.